Here now with Cole Redalen. Cole, what just happened?
I don't know, Cole mode? I don't know what to call it.
We're going to have to name it something.
Yeah,
2 course records in 1 tournament?
Yeah, I've shot a lot of hot ones on tour before. And so I think it was just a matter of time for me to do that at the end of the tournament rather than just at the beginning of it. And I've done it at the end of the tournament, but it's only gotten me up into 7th and 8th place. But to do it from a lead card on a lead and tie that course record is just something I could never have dreamed of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, I have to ask you, the first 6 holes of Eureka, I feel are the holes with the biggest scoring differences, like the baseball field hole and the next par 4 after that. You went nearly perfect on those 6 holes besides that one mid-range shot on 3. Talk about, the state of mind that you were in. I noticed you were stepping up onto the tee pads and kind of closing your eyes and taking a deep breath. Talk about how you achieved that state.
It was a lot of prayer. I was stepped on every tee pad and just kept in my heart to just, I see that scorecard. I just took a deep breath on every single throw. Something Eagle told me this morning is just take a deep breath on every single throw. And then I just said a little prayer before any shot that I was feeling particularly stressed about or anything. Was just give it to the Lord no matter what happens today. So, yeah.
And at what point in the round, Cole, did you check UDisc to see that Calvin Heimburg was shredding? And I know that you guys heard the roars on 10. While you guys were on 7, you heard the roars. Did you check at that point and say, did someone just ace?
No, I did not.
Okay.
In the conditions that we were dealing with, I figured that I would still have the lead that I had, and that's all I was worried about at that point. I wasn't worried about somebody catching me because I was doing my part. And so I didn't really check scores or UDisc for the first time until after my upshot on hole 18. And
wow.
That's when I looked at my caddy and said, I don't think I can lose this tournament now. But I had an idea of where Calvin was at. I didn't look at UDisc, but after hole 12, I was walking to 13 and peeked a glance at the leaderboard, and with that, just subconsciously, I just looked at it and I saw that Calvin was only 3 back at that point, and I was like, whoa, I thought I had more.
Yeah.
And I know I got some more at Ricky in the beginning, but then I saw him kind of charging back. He had a nice stretch in the middle there, so I was just trying to keep pace with him, and so yeah, I didn't check UDisc till 18.
Wow. And Brian wanted me to ask you about hole 12, water tower hole. It looked like you threw mid-range off the tee there. What'd you throw?
Yeah, I threw a quake. I was throwing the driver.
Unheard of.
I was throwing the driver in practice, and I was almost going out of bounds deep. I was probably 10 feet short of the OB line deep, and so I was like, if I'm gonna make a mistake today, it's gonna be taking my chances with the water tower if I leave it short. And I even threw the mid-range round 1 and got the birdie as well. I hit the water tower round 1 as well, but I just didn't throw it as hard as I probably should have. But yeah, definitely mid-range, and it's just so I could know I wasn't going out the back of the hole. Yep.
Yeah. Well, the par there on 12. Then we cross over to the other side of the park, and you have a little history with hole 13. Today it happened to be where you threw one of your most impressive shots. Talk about what you were feeling when you walked to that lie out of position, and then that shot fully braced into the front leg, falling down to the ground. What was it like knowing that you executed that hyzer?
I had no idea where it landed. As soon as it left my hand, I'm like, that's perfect. That's what I envisioned in my head. And then everybody was like, oh, get down, whatever. And I saw it hit some trees. I'm like, oh, I must have stalled short. I'll pitch up for par, whatever. And then they said it hit the trees by the basket. And I was like, oh, shoot, well, I might have a putt then. And then I saw it was just inside the circle. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. That shot must have been insane coming in. So yeah, I just didn't, after the tee shot, and after the second shot, I was like, I might have put the second shot a little too far left. I didn't even think about those trees really. And then once I got up to the disc, I'm like, well, I can still make it work, so I think I'm gonna. Yep.
And this is a hole that had broke you in the past. I mean, you would have had a chance at winning this event, but you took a 13 on hole 13 before, so you know just how dangerous it can be.
Absolutely.
Did that fear at all creep into your mind?
Absolutely. Round 1 especially. It was my first time playing that hole since that happened, because I didn't make the cut last year at this tournament. I told Brian earlier in the week I feel like this was a redemption tournament for me, because back in 2021 when I had my breakout performance, I had moved up into a tie for 5th on that final day, and then the final round was canceled, and so I felt like I didn't really get to finish a complete event.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was still absolutely pumped to take the place I did in 7th, but I was like, man, I kind of wish I would have proved it to myself and finished it out. And then last year, I was leading the tournament with a really early tee time, and then I went from 1st place to 33rd place after taking a 13 on hole 13.
Wow.
So, and that really just killed my tournament last year, and so this year it was something I'm like, man, if I could just get a top 10 at Ledgestone this year, I would be pumped, because I want that redemption. I feel like I play well on these courses, especially when I'm in a good mindset, and here we are now.
Wow. Well, Cole, I want to ask you, what emotions first came flooding to you when it was all said and done? I mean, I know your mom is probably still watching right now. Hey, Karen, we miss you out here. This is your first year on the road without her. You know, like, what emotions came to you first? Like, did you think of the golf that you played, as an even younger kid? Like, well, what the work that you did? What gets validated first?
That all stuff kind of flooded in once I started shouting them out at the bat when I was talking at the basket. It just flooded in, like, the flashback memories of just our first RV trailer that we'd pull around to campgrounds, and then just all those fun little 2-round C-tears. We wake up early and drive, at 5 a.m. an hour to the course, and then play our first round, eat lunch, and play a second round, and just all those moments that I never could have dreamed of bringing me to this moment right here.
Yeah. And man, you haven't even won an A tier.
I know. Yeah.
I feel like we all knew that the talent was there, but I mean, this is just the next step in your long career, and I think we're just all so proud of you. And are there any final words that you have for the people at home, for your sponsors? Floor is yours. Yeah.
What an incredible day of disc golf, and everybody, sure a lot of people are thinking that, and even I'm thinking that myself. It's just, again, so thankful and grateful that I even got to be in this situation and pull out ahead. And I knew my time was coming, but then again, on the road, there's still so many doubts that can come in, and everybody knows that. And so, I'm just extremely grateful at the end of the day. Yep.
Wow. Well done, Cole. You guys heard it from your Ledgestone Open champion, Cole Redalen. And don't go anywhere. We're going to hear from your runner-up, Calvin Heimburg. Carded a 425-foot ace today. Here he is.
Sweet.
All right, we're here now with Calvin Heimburg. Calvin, what are you feeling right now, man? 13 down on the round, and you actually lose a stroke to the winner.
Yeah, I can't do much about that. Cole played great. I saw he shot like 8 down on the front 9, and once you do that, it's pretty hard to catch anyone. So, I still put together a really solid round. One better than I did the prior time I was out here, and got a sweet ace. Really cool par save on hole 8 as well. So, overall, pretty satisfied with how I played, and I think it would have been borderline impossible to catch Cole today. So, definitely happy with how I finished the event.
Were you ever checking the scores during the round? Like, when did you realize that the effort you were putting forward wasn't enough to catch Cole?
I checked scores on kind of I guess it was 13. It kind of feels like the turn here, but it's more than halfway through. But I checked them there, saw that I wasn't really gaining much, so it was just keep trying to push. Anything can happen there on that back stretch, but he played well through that as well.
Yeah, and I want to hear a little bit more about that ace. Like, were you feeling like that eagle was in, like, as soon as it left your hand? And I think that's about as excited as we've seen you after a shot.
No, I don't think I knew it was in. I knew it was tracking really well. It's kind of a weird left to right drifting shot that needs to fade a little at the end. But once it started coming out of it, it definitely looked like I had a chance. And when it went in, it was definitely exciting.
Sweet. Well, Calvin, great performance this week, second place. And any words about Cole Redalen taking his first Pro Tour?
Congrats to him. He played phenomenal every round. He put together a good round. He didn't ever really have an off round. So he played great this week, and hopefully we can keep it up for the rest of the season.
All right, Calvin, thanks for the interview. We'll see you next week at Outer Wild.
Yep, see you there.
We have to talk about this, Nate. Earlier in the week, we said, Cole Redalen being in the lead, this is his first time in a situation where he has to protect a lead going into the final round. It's almost like the universe really doesn't want you to take that victory down. You have to prove yourself to the rest of the disc golf community when you're in that pressure-packed situation, and he did it. Nate, what does this mean?
I mean, it validates everything that he's worked for, and it shows the rest of the disc golf world that he's got some ice in his veins, because you couldn't tell for even a moment that he was nervous. He wasn't. I mean, I've never seen someone so committed to standing on the tee pad and just closing their eyes and really feeling the moment. I mean, he did that, half a dozen times throughout the round. And not only did he win the tournament, but that was one of the best final round performances that we've seen on the Disc Golf Pro Tour in several years. I don't have the stat Mando right in front of me, but a 1093 rated round to close out your first Pro Tour it's unheard of.
It was the best I have seen, not only him throw a disc ever, it was the best I've seen someone throw a disc this whole season. I mean, it looked like the disc was 100% drawn in his mind before it came out of his hand. And Cole has always been a player that has a few shots where I know he can control the full flight, but today it was everything. I mean, he stepped up to 15 and almost threw like a little air bounce turnover with the mid-range, like he had a blindfold on. I mean, it was, and then on 14 going down the hill, he threw that same mid-range downhill and crushed it with no worries whatsoever. Everyone knew it was going to be flawless the moment it left his hand. He is evolving as a player right in front of our very eyes. And I mean, we watched him on the highlight reels from the Portland Open a few years back when the disc was just slinging out of his hand 70, 80 miles an hour. And now, just like Corey Ellis, who just won the major championship, everything is compressing, and now it's just decision making. He just gets to pick his spots and read the conditions, and he's playing the game on a much higher level because of that.
Yeah, you and I both keyed in on, that it was going to be those first 6 holes where we were going to see whether or not he was feeling those nerves. And when he threw the roller on 2 was when I really felt like he was playing free. I mean, that is such a high-risk play, throwing the roller down toward the water. It could cut up early, find OB, and it was perfect. His first, mistake, I feel like, not even on 3 where he carded the par, I feel like his first mistake wasn't even till hole 11 when he kind of threw that forehand a little nose up. But it just checked up for him. And, then you noted, Brian, that he actually probably one of the first players ever to attack hole 12 with the mid-range. It was confirmed in that interview. He threw a quake.
Well, we talked about this with Anthony Barella back at the European Open when he failed to get on the island on 16. And then what disc did he stick on the island? The zone, the slowest disc that he was throwing those forehands with. I think when you're pumping full of adrenaline, that's not a bad move, and it's a very high IQ play to make when the pressure is high. With that said, the pressure was high for everybody today, and there were 2 aces within 2 minutes.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. Hole 7, hole number 10. Let's look at both of these. These are unbelievable. First, Marweed steps up to hole 7, and
this
really,
is straight Raptor too, Brian.
Yeah.
I almost feel like he was kind of, manifesting this, because normally he would throw the breaker, goes faster.
Look at this.
Oh, that's in with no chains, Brian. Haven't even seen that angle yet.
I'm walking down the stairs to catch up with this card after dropping something off at Tournament Central, and I hear the eruption from the crowd, and I see everyone from afar going crazy. And then as I finish walking down these stairs, Calvin throws a full flex distance driver here on number 10, 425 feet.
That's the eagle too, Brian. That's an eagle, 425 feet. Look, I also think this one is in with no chains. I mean, that's pole, that's in, and that's a Calvin Heimburg getting as pumped as we've ever seen him in his entire career.
I heard from one of our cameramen who was behind him on that shot, said that he actually called the ace on that hole. He heard the ace. He heard it was from Marweed. Zach Melton and him were like, well, we got to dunk this in now, too.
Come on.
And look what happened. It was
unreal.
Magic today at Lake Eureka. And it seems to do that every year out here. But Calvin just seems to always be in the mix. I mean, 13 under on almost any other day would have sealed the victory for him.
Yeah, I think if you would have told Cole that Calvin's going to shoot a 13 and you got to show up and you got to birdie half the course, that, things might have been different. But, Cole surprised me saying that he didn't actually even check scores until 18. And Calvin, of course, in the interview, he said, hey, I did everything I could do. 13 down with a hole in one bogey. I mean, incredible performance from the chase car to come up and get solo second place, and an unforgettable hole in one right there. That the eruption of that crowd, it was so loud, Brian. And the lead card, what must that have felt like for the leader of the tournament to hear someone erupt? Like, uh-oh, did the person chasing me just ace?
I have to say, I watched him throughout the entire round. Cole looked like he was in a different dimension. Do you remember when Bradley Williams won the Preserve? And in his post-round interview, he said, it felt like something was just dragging me through to the end of the course, and it looked like Cole was in that same state. And I asked him, we were walking over here to do the interview with you, I said, are you going to be able to remember specific shots, Cole? And he said, every shot was the same to me, Brian.
Whoa.
Every shot was the same. And you know what? Every disc golfer seems to have a round like that where they can't quite remember everything in full detail, but it was also super vibrant at the same time, so to speak. With that said, we're not going to get too deep into this incredible day out here at Lake Eureka. We have to talk Ricky Wysocki, but we have to take a quick commercial break. We'll see you on the other side.
When I walk up to a shot, I'm looking for the target. I'm looking at obstacles around the target, specific landing zones, looking at the height. Knowing all of that, I'm able to shape a shot. I don't want to think, did I get the right shot? Did I get the right distance? Like, that's it, I got it. Confidence is everything, and the Edge Disc Golf Rangefinder gives me exactly that.
Ledgestone. Every summer, hundreds of disc golfers flock to the greater Peoria, Illinois area to compete in the sport's richest and most charitable event, the Ledgestone Open. But what does Ledgestone look like for the rest of the year? On the surface, Ledgestone is one of disc golf's leading retailers, but look a little closer and you'll find a group of motivated individuals providing the best possible service to the disc golf community. So whether you're building a bag, wanting to support your favorite pro, or looking to add to your disc golf wardrobe, choose the retailer that's as passionate about the sport as you are. Choose Ledgestone.
Here now with Ricky Wysocki. Ricky, how'd you feel about a 10 under performance today?
Yeah, absolutely no wind, and so I mean, compared to Northwoods, birdies were plentiful out there, and the conditions were good. A little bit of rain, but Northwoods, yeah, you got to go low. And I was trying to get off to a good start, put some pressure on Cole, but I got some bad breaks and just didn't go my way. It happens. But yeah, he played really well, and yeah, he definitely earned it.
Yeah, talk about his performance a little bit. I know that, when you're playing, you seem to be in your own lane. Like, were you at all keen in on how well he shot on the front?
Yeah, he shot really well. I think that, that's, as a young player, you got to handle the nerves, handle the pressure, and he did a great job. So, yeah, I'm using these next couple tournaments as kind of, practice and prep for Worlds, and I think I'm on to a lot of good things with my game, and I think that's super important for me, confidence-wise. But yeah, no, he throws the disc, so smooth. I mean, he throws, it feels like he throws it like 80% and it goes 550, 600 feet. So he's just a smooth thrower and very controlled with the mid-range too, which he was throwing really well today as well. So 14 under, I'm sure it was a hot round, and yeah, he just came out here and dominated.
So it's early August, it's late in the season. You said that you're really using these tournaments in preparation for Worlds. How does the body feel, and how do you choose which tournaments you're going to play over the next month?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we got two more big events. We got Idlewild, and then we got D-Glow, and then it's Worlds for me. But I think for me, it's just kind of seeing how my game is under pressure and what my tendencies are, and I think that's super important, especially when you start getting into the big majors like Worlds. And I think when you know what's going to happen with your shots and how your shots are coming out of your hand with pressure on the line, then that's a huge thing you can lean on going into Worlds. And I think that yeah, I mean, I threw some more backhands than I normally do on upshots and stuff just to kind of figure out my lines and figure out my angles. And I think that, yeah, I liked the way the disc coming out of my hand.
Cool. Well, Rick, thanks for the interview, man. We'll see you next week at Idlewild.
Thanks, Nate, and congrats to Cole.
Ricky, always entertaining and always seemingly in the narrative every single big tournament that there is. He said that he's going to use this as experience going into the next big swing of majors and Elite Plus events. What do you think his game looked like today? What were your thoughts? Do you think he's got what it takes to take down a world title this year?
Game looked good, Brian. I mean, Rick has looked good, all season, minus the events that, he was unable to play due to the Lyme, but he's got the awareness to realize that, how he's going to further cement himself as one of the greats is more majors. I mean, he's won so many Pro Tours at this point. And to hear him talk about using these events to build toward the World Championships, I love to hear that, because it surprises me to realize, Brian, that he hasn't won a major since 2017.
Yeah.
Like, how is that possible? He's won so many times on the tour since then, but he's very aware of that. And so I love to hear him talking that he's just building towards Worlds. I know some players are thinking on that level, but I don't think anyone more than that guy right there.
Well, I think he's going to be in the mix. I remember when he won GMC, and he was beyond excited to win that tournament. He was stoked because he fought through some serious adversity to take down that victory. We're going back to Vermont. I think there's going to be a lot of players, including the Europeans, coming back over wanting that title from Ricky Wysocki. With that said, we're about to wrap things up. We have one more thing to talk about. Missy Gannon, back-to-back Ledgestone champion, taking it down yet again in commanding fashion. Hot round of the day, 5 under par at Northwood Black. Nate, what do you make of this incredible victory?
Well, I mean, it's big money Missy. She chooses the moments where she's going to bring her best game, and I saw an amazing stat there on the broadcast that she's averaging the highest cashes for her wins. This one she cashed for $7,000. She was averaging $12,000 per Pro Tour victory before that. So she really lived up to the name, Big Money Missy, and we see her right, behind the camera right here. Tom's got the check, she's got the trophy, biggest smile on her face. It's hard not to root for an athlete like Missy. I mean, even her card mates are, they're cheering her on as she's tapping in the final putt. And honestly, it was the putt that carried her forward this event, Brian. I mean, she was first in strokes gained from the tee to green this event, which we normally don't see from Gannon, but I mean, just early on, Brian, that putt on one to card the single bogey, save that bogey, was amazing. She only went on to miss 2 circle 1 putts that final round. So that 50-footer on 13 after the forehand over the pond, I mean, she's so confident, Brian, that she's starting to throw in those forehands when normally we wouldn't see that in the past.
Well, that's what I was asking her about, and she was just like, if I feel like I can do it, I'm going to do it. And she stepped up to that lie. She was up a few. She didn't necessarily have to do that, but she went for it. And to me, that just shows that she's also evolving parts of her game. And that's scary for the rest of the field, having even just a really powerful stock forehand that she's starting to develop, and it looked great today. With that said, we talked to her after her great victory. Let's take a listen.
It feels awesome. I never thought I'd be a back-to-back champion. It's just so hard to do now, and but I kind of felt like this was the chance to do it. These are the courses that I play so well on, and I feel so comfortable here, and I'm just so happy to have been able to accomplish that feat. It's just a place that I love coming back to. Like I said, I've been coming here since I started touring in 2018, and so I've seen like a lot of iterations of Ledgestone, and so yeah, it just feels comfortable. My sponsors are here. It's a big Discraft event and Ledgestone, so yeah, just feel like I want to come out here and represent hard out here. I just tried to, again, I've been saying it all week, stay patient, trust my process, trust my game, and it all worked out in the end.
Well, it was a productive week, to say the least, Mr. Perkins. Ledgestone is over. We're going to wrap things up here at Tournament Central. We are heading into a chaotic stretch of disc golf.
Yeah,
four-round event after four-round event after four-round event, major after major. But first, we're heading out to Kentucky for the Idlewild Open at the iconic Idlewild Disc Golf Course. Nate, it's been an amazing week. Brian Earhart, Nate Perkins signing off. We'll see you next time, folks.
Peace.